Celebrities get banned from all kinds of places, from countries to talk shows. Some stars can sometimes land on the no-fly list, so to speak, for a number of reasons. But what about being banned from the very industry which you work? It's a harsh consequence that few stars have to deal with, so let's talk about some of them as we count down the top 10 celebrities banned from Hollywood. At number 10, Roseanne Barr. Roseanne Barr had a pretty good thing going up until 2018. Prior to then, Roseanne was finding a lot of success in the Roseanne sitcom reboot on ABC and was getting ready to usher in a new season. Everything changed after the actress tweeted out an offensive and racist tweet about Barack Obama's former senior advisor, Valerie Jarrett, comparing her to an ape. As a result, Roseanne felt the wrath of Hollywood and her show and career had been cancelled. Though she deleted the tweet and issued an apology for her actions, this couldn't save her career, and she's since been reportedly blacklisted from Hollywood. The actress tried defending her actions by claiming that she thought Valerie Jarrett was white, but that excuse didn't really go over well, and it made things worse for her instead. Recently, we've seen Hollywood taking these kinds of offensive actions more seriously, so many celebs have faced mass scrutiny and cancellations because of past actions or current beliefs. Roseanne has also gone on to say in interviews that Hollywood shunned her because of her political beliefs. At number 9, CeeLo Green. CeeLo Green rose to fame in the mid-90s, but I think most of us know him for his hit song Forget You or F You. CeeLo even got to be a judge on The Voice for a brief time, that is until he began getting caught in scandals. The first came from back in 2011 after he was deemed homophobic after tweeting and using the word gay in a derogatory manner. This scandal blew over eventually until 2014 when a new scandal came about, this time concerning allegations of non-consensual relations with a woman. It was alleged that the singer slipped an illicit substance into a woman's drink and went home with her, but after pleading no contest to the allegations, it was determined that the relationship was consensual. CeeLo then proceeded to defend himself on Twitter, making offensive remarks, and as a result, he lost support. He stepped down from his role on The Voice and was even taken off the lineup for a music festival. He was essentially blacklisted for some time since no one really wanted to work with him. Even though he was later welcomed back to The Voice, this decision came with uproar, which suggests that fans haven't forgotten about CeeLo. If you guys are enjoying the video so far, please consider leaving a like, and also head on over to the Viper Girl channel and hit that subscribe button for some awesome gameplay content featuring yours truly. At number 8, Monique. Actress and comedian Monique became notable in Hollywood for her stand-up and her role on The Packers, but things escalated for her career when she was cast in the 2009 Oscar-nominated film Precious. Monique played an abusive mother in the film, and as a result of her talent, she was awarded an Oscar for Best Actress in a Supporting Role. This should have catapulted Monique's career, but instead it did quite the opposite. Because she, quote, refused to campaign for her award, director Lee Daniels pegged her as being difficult to work with and a tacky actress, and she's since lost out on a number of roles as a result. With this new label, no one in Hollywood wanted to work with her after that, over fears that she would be troublesome on set and when promoting her work. Monique rose so high and fell so fast, and her career is no longer the same. At number 7, Stacey Dash. Known for her role as Dion in the 90s film Clueless, Stacey Dash had risen to fame in the 90s, but recently she's hit rock bottom and is no longer welcome in the entertainment industry. Nowadays, the actress is known for being quite outspoken when it comes to her political views, and this is what led Hollywood to lock her out. Speaking out about her take on women's rights, Black History Month, segregation, and the quote-unquote bathroom bill, the actress has proven herself to be too much for even the likes of Fox News, for which she used to be a part of. Stacey would often come on air on Fox News to talk about whatever issues were being discussed, but in a turn of events, Fox News let her go for having gone too far with her words, especially in reference to the abolishment of Black History Month. Some people have said that her extreme beliefs are what stopped Stacey from receiving any roles, and have said that she was even dropped by her agent for being too problematic. Her views on gay and trans rights, as well as opinions on race in Hollywood, have ultimately ended her career as an actress. At number 6, Kirk Cameron. Another celebrity who's been dropped by Hollywood is actor Kirk Cameron. Kirk rose to fame on the show Growing Pains, but has subsequently been banned from Hollywood in recent years because of his personal and religious views, especially those pertaining to the LGBT community. Though he seemingly doesn't care about what Hollywood thinks about him, it still doesn't take away from the fact that he's no longer welcome in the industry. In recent weeks, Kirk was in the news for his anti-COVID protests, posting photos of him and large groups of maskless people caroling during the holiday season. This, combined with his controversial views on same-sex marriage and his harsh religious views, which he often preaches, Hollywood doesn't want anything to do with the actor because he has a reputation for being problematic. At number 5, Thora Burch. From Hocus Pocus to American Beauty, Thora Burch was a rising star, but due to a number of reported conflicts, Thora isn't finding the same level of success that she used to, and some say that she's been blacklisted from Hollywood. Much of this has to do with Thora's father and the conflict that he's been involved in. First, it was reported in 2010 that Thora had been fired from an off-Broadway production of Dracula because her father would frequently accompany Thora to set and had physically threatened other actors. Thora was also fired from her next project, Manson Girls, after her father allegedly got into an argument with production. From 2010 to 2018, Thora reportedly booked only one gig, and the actress has said that much of that has to do with her bad rep in the industry. She said that she angered a lot of people over the years, and so this could be the reason that she's blacklisted. At number 4, Isaiah Washington. You may know Isaiah Washington from Grey's Anatomy, but if you wanted to see what he got up to after leaving the show, you might be a little hard-pressed to do so. Isaiah left his role on Grey's for a number of reasons that turned it into scandals. Firstly, he allegedly didn't get along with co-star Patrick Dempsey, and it was alleged that they even got into a physical altercation. But the nail in his coffin, so to speak, was his controversial use of a gay slur when referring to one of his other co-stars, T.R. Knight. As a result, he was let go from the show, and this behavior apparently led him to being blacklisted for a few years. No one wanted to work with him because his homophobic scandal was still fresh in many people's minds. Eventually, he was able to make it back to the screen in Grey's as he took up his character's story once again, and he even got a role on the show The 100. His Hollywood ban was very real, but also very brief. At number 3, Rose McGowan. In 2017, actress Rose McGowan told sources that she was blacklisted from Hollywood because she was a victim of Harvey Weinstein. Rose is one of the individuals who came forward about their unwanted relations with Weinstein, ultimately leading to his conviction. Rose, known for her time on the show Tron as well as in Scream, says that she was threatened and subsequently blacklisted and banned from Hollywood because of what she endured from an internal level as a way to protect those who knew from being outed. Now Rose is very outspoken about these matters and seeks justice for all victims of these sort of crimes. Her case originally settled out of court and everything was kept quiet, which is why she was no longer welcome in the industry, but this ban says a lot about the characters in Hollywood. Wanting to protect the higher-ups in the business and sacrificing someone's career should never be the answer. Rose lost a lot at that time and it's not fair to her, so this is one ban that went unwarranted. At number 2, Jim Caviezel. It's not always tweets and fights that get you banned from Hollywood. The roles you play and the productions that you're a part of can also take a toll on your career, and this is what happened with actor Jim Caviezel. Coming from some minor success in the 90s, Jim's defining moment came when he played Jesus Christ in Mel Gibson's Passions of the Christ film. The movie itself was a financial success, but the media tore it apart, calling it too violent and controversial. The R-rated film caught a lot of bad press as it was seen as anti-Semitic, and those who worked on the film had a hard time shaking that label, especially Jim. Apparently, before filming began, Mel Gibson warned Jim that he could potentially be shunned from Hollywood for this film, but he went ahead with it anyway. Jim says that he has no regrets starring in the movie, but he's no longer welcome in Hollywood as a result. And finally, at number 1, Mel Gibson. Speaking of the Passion of the Christ, Mel Gibson is someone who is notoriously hated in Hollywood for a number of reasons. He is no longer considered for any Hollywood roles and only seems to make an entrance into the industry when he is directing his own film, but he still holds a bad rep in the film world. He's been the subject of a number of controversies, from that of the Passions of the Christ for being anti-Semitic, to career-damaging freakouts, driving under the influence, and a number of people coming forward to discuss Mel's racist and anti-Semitic views. Though he continues to get canceled in Hollywood, he attempts to make a return every so often, so I guess you could say he's almost like the Trisha Paytas of Hollywood. He's been facing controversy for decades and no one has really forgiven him, and so he remains banned in Hollywood. Now, on the topic of Hollywood, I want you guys to tell me who your favorite actor is. There are so many talented performers to choose from, so I want you to tell me all about your favorites down in the comments.
And at number 10, Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf was quietly cut by Netflix after his ex-girlfriend FK Twigs made allegations against him that he was harmful to her both mentally and physically during their relationship. This all took place right as LaBeouf's film with Netflix, Pieces of a Woman, was set to be released on January 7th. But Netflix is taking a firm stance of support for FK Twigs and the other women who've spoken out by distancing themselves from Shia and removing his name from their awards consideration campaign. LaBeouf is due to appear alongside Vanessa Kirby in Pieces of a Woman, with the pair playing a couple who lose their first child in a home birth. The film focuses on Kirby's Martha as she grieves and tries to repair her relationship with LaBeouf's Sean and her mother. The movie so far is getting tons of award season hype, already coming out strong at the Venice Film Festival, where the lead actress scored a Best Actress award, and the film was up for Movie of the Year. And this means that Netflix knows they need to publicly cut the actor, but they want the film to do well at festivals, so for now they're just gonna cut him from the awards nominations, and we're assuming after this they won't work with him again. And also make sure to like if you're liking the video so far. And at number 9, Steven Spielberg. The legendary director has made his firm stance against Netflix very clear, and he's outspoken that the streaming platform is ruining the movie industry. Spielberg has been outspoken about his desire to keep Netflix from taking home the big trophies at award shows. After the Oscars, he came out saying that Netflix productions aren't actual movies, and because of this, they shouldn't be considered in major categories. And he's doing whatever he can to make this the case, as he's working with the Academy to ensure all films nominated for future awards have had theatrical runs, making it impossible for the streaming service to win. However, now that Warner Bros. Has made the shocking move to have all their movies released exclusively on streaming services in the new year, this rule definitely will not be put into place. And at number 8, Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan is another director firmly against Netflix and streaming services in general. According to GQ, Nolan questions the streaming-only model for failing to try and enter the theatrical area. Nolan believes that the concept of streaming movies takes away from the experience and theatrics of it all, adding that a movie will never feel as lifelike or look as good on a laptop screen, and I guess he does have a point there. For his latest film, Tenet, it will obviously not be on streaming services, only pay-per-view. The film was one of the only major releases during the coronavirus, and it might have been a mistake, as the film vastly underperformed and only brought in $29.5 million in its first 2 weeks, although it performed much better overseas. So it seems like he might be forced to change his tune about streaming services soon. And at number 7, Kevin Spacey. Back in 2017, in light of allegations against Spacey, Netflix acted quickly to cut ties with the star, which included booting him off of the Netflix original House of Cards, which was one of the service's most successful shows at the time. A statement on the matter read, quote, "Netflix will not be involved in any further production of House of Cards that includes Kevin Spacey. We will continue to work with MRC during this hiatus time to evaluate our path forward as it relates to the show," MRC referring to the production company. The spokesperson also said that Netflix will not be moving forward with the release of the film Gore, which starred and was produced by Spacey and which was in post-production. And honestly, it was nice to see a big company doing the right thing for once. And obviously, they will never work with him again, but sadly, they did keep his old material on the platform for some reason. Not sure why their stance was like only halfway on that one. And at number 6, Avatar: The Last Airbender creators. The Avatar series gained a second life when it started streaming on Netflix, but the relationship turned sour quickly, with the co-creators of the popular cartoon series cutting ties with Netflix. Producers of the original show announced their departure online, with DiMartino writing in his statement, quote, "Many of you have been asking me for updates about the Avatar live-action Netflix series. I can finally tell you that I'm no longer involved with the project. In June of this year, after 2 years of developmental work, Bryan Konzenko and I made the difficult decision to leave the production," adding that the reason they left was because they were not given the creative freedom they needed to guide the show that they saw fit. Adding, quote, "Though Netflix promised to support their vision, there was no follow-through on that promise." Netflix later made a statement that they were going forward with the show without the men. Halfway, number 5, Marvel. Netflix axed Marvel's The Punisher and Jessica Jones after announcing they had already scrapped other Marvel projects that were in development with the streaming service. All the cancellations mark the end of Marvel's partnership with Netflix. However, that was the plan all along, as the public would later learn that Disney would be starting its own streaming service with Marvel projects on its roster, called Disney+. In a statement on the matter, Netflix said, quote, "We are grateful to Marvel for 5 years of our fruitful partnership and thank the passionate fans who have followed these series from the beginning." Marvel's TV head Jeff Lubb also made a statement, quote, "Our network partner may have decided they no longer want to continue telling the tales of these great characters, but you know Marvel better than that. As Matthew Murdock's dad once said, the measure of a man is not how he gets knocked to the mat, it's how he gets back up." To be continued. And it's strange in that statement he made it seem like Netflix's decision, when we know they wanted their products off of Netflix to put on Disney+. And of course, after Disney Plus's launch, all Disney products were taken off the platform and will never be returning. In at number 4, Louis C.K. Louis C.K. is another actor who saw backlash from Netflix after accusations of inappropriate conduct came out against him. This came in the form of the streaming service halting the production of his second stand-up special with them. A Netflix spokesperson said, quote, "The allegations made by several women in the New York Times about Louis C.K.'s behavior are disturbing. Louis' unprofessional and inappropriate behavior with female colleagues has led us to decide not to produce a second stand-up special, as had been planned. The streaming service still has his old comedy specials up for some reason, but they definitely will not be working with him ever again. And at number 3, the Weinstein Company. Netflix decided to cut ties with the Weinstein Company after allegations against Harvey Weinstein came to light. The decision was made in court, where Netflix won approval from a US bankruptcy court to end its deal with the Weinstein Company. Before that, Netflix was in a long-term contract with the Weinstein Company that would bring its new movies onto Netflix. But not everything was taken off. According to Deadline, Netflix decided to keep Spy Kids series as part of the negotiations, as well as the hit show Peaky Blinders after they withheld payment of licensing fees, according to the report. This is licensing from the Weinstein Company to the company's new owners, Lantern Entertainment. And at number 2, Johnny Depp. This one is extremely unfortunate, but Netflix very recently removed all films starring Johnny Depp from their catalog. However, there was no statement made about the removal, probably because they know there will be backlash from Johnny Depp fans. But fans noticed when they were no longer finding movies from him on the platform. It's assumed that the removal took place after Depp lost his high-profile libel case in the UK last month, with the loss for Johnny allowing news publications to call him a wife-beater. Of course, related to allegations from his ex-wife Amber Heard. But Johnny Depp fans are not happy and are considering boycotting the service to show their support for the actor. One fan wrote online, quote, "Netflix has movies by Mel Gibson, Sean Penn, Amber Heard, and Kevin Spacey on there. They have some nerve removing Johnny Depp's stuff." Which is absolutely true. I really could not have said that comment better myself. And finally at number 1, the royal family. If you've seen The Crown, then you know why the royal family absolutely hates Netflix. Usually the royal family is pretty quiet about these types of things, but the 4th season, which focuses on Diana, has caused such a stir that the family has commented. The Daily Mail wrote, quote, "Friends of Prince Charles launched a blistering attack on The Crown last night, accusing producers of the hit Netflix drama of trolling on a Hollywood budget and presenting fiction as facts." Apparently those with ties to the royal family think that Netflix is exploiting the family for monetary gain, as well as presenting a twisted version of events. As a way to fight back, the family urged Netflix to add a warning before the show that stated that the show is a work of fiction. However, Netflix did not do this and claims that audiences know it's loosely based on a true story. But I get why the family is mad, because I mean, the show makes them look really bad.
At number 10, Bella Thorne. If there's one thing that Disney hates, it's when people talk badly about them. They like keeping their brand as clean, drama-free, and as family-friendly as possible, so when people, especially former stars, come out with their stories about working with Disney and having negative attention thrown their way, Disney does the best that they can to shut that person out and cut ties with them to save them from the drama. This is true for Bella Thorne, as she's done multiple interviews talking about her bad experience working for Disney. Bella has told sources about how they used to force her to speak in a higher-pitched voice to seem more cute and wholesome, and she caused some scandal amongst executives when she was a young teenager because she was photographed in a bikini, and Disney wanted to fire her over it. Later on, after leaving Disney after the end of Shake It Up, Bella went on a journey of self-expression, dyeing her hair bright colors, lowering her voice to its natural register, and branching out into more mature acting roles. Disney wanted to distance themselves from her bad press as she began adopting the stereotype of the Disney kid gone bad, and especially after later scandals that she's been in, I'm sure they're definitely thinking, Bella who? At number 9, Johnny Depp. Out of all Disney's movie franchises, Pirates of the Caribbean films were surely amongst its best and most memorable collections. Johnny Depp in the starring role of Captain Jack Sparrow catapulted the films to great heights and defined pirate roles for sure. But after the initial drama between him and his ex-wife Amber Heard back in 2016, Disney started to pull away from the actor after he was labeled as an abuser by the tabloids. This wasn't good press for Johnny, nor was it for Disney, since his name was so firmly attached to the company and its Pirates films. Johnny lost a lot of respect from Hollywood during this time, though now we know that it was unwarranted since the reports that Johnny was an abuser was a lie. Disney actually ended up barring him from ever being part of any future productions, including those from the Pirates of the Caribbean, and have pulled away from the actor for good. Even though 2020 saw the truth come out about Johnny and Amber's situation, this still hasn't changed Disney's mind about the actor, and unfortunately we may never see the company rescind their ban. If you guys are enjoying the list so far, please consider leaving a like on this video, or even share it with your friends too. It really helps our channel to grow, and we would love your support. At number 8, Lindsay Lohan. There have been a number of former child stars that the media has dubbed child star gone bad. many of them being former Disney stars. When one thinks about these disgraced child stars, one of the first that might pop into your head might be Lindsay Lohan. There was a time when Lindsay was one of the most sought after young actresses in the industry. From starring in films like The Parent Trap, Freaky Friday, and Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, Disney loved Lindsay, and this catapulted her career through her childhood and teenage years. But there came a time when Lindsay sort of burned out and she went down a dark path. Soon she was in the media for misdemeanor arrests, drug charges, substance abuse, rehab, jail sentences, probation, and a number of other unfortunate happenings in her life. Since her time working for Disney, Lindsay has been in her share of scandals, and as we know, Disney does not like scandal. Though she will forever be linked with the company since that's where she got her big break, they will no doubt forego hiring her for anything they're producing because of her tarnished reputation. At number 7, Mitchel Musso. Hannah Montana was one of Disney Channel's biggest hit shows. It catapulted Miley Cyrus into stardom, and some of her co-stars felt the bright lights of Hollywood shining down on them as well, one of those stars being Mitchel Musso. Mitchel played one of Miley's best friends, Oliver Oaken, in the show, and all was well, at least until the show's end. Towards his end of the series run, Mitchel changed up his look. He was no longer a shaggy-haired dude who sported layered t-shirts, and he was now a dark-haired rock star. The change happened due to Mitchell's real-life appearance change as he cut his hair shorter, dyed it black, and got a bunch of tattoos. According to Mitchell, the executives freaked out when he showed up on set like this, and so they tried covering it up by including it in the show. After his run on Hannah Montana, Mitchell moved on to other Disney shows, but things were a little rocky for him and the company, as during this time he was in the news for being arrested for a DUI. He was later distanced from the company and hasn't really worked much since, after coming away with a broken image from Disney. At number 6, Jake Paul. You know, sometimes I forget that Jake Paul used to be a Disney star. I mean, you look at the guy post-boxing match, bloody and bruised, and it's hard to imagine that that face was on the Disney Channel. But yeah, before 2017, Jake Paul was a member of the cast of Bizaardvark. That is, until he got fired from the show. Though he was a hard-working actor, he was also in the midst of running Team 10, and at this point, it was still fairly new, but uber successful. Jake was frequently in the news during this time because of backyard fires, noise complaints, police calls, and just being a nuisance to his neighbors, something that they complained about often. Well, after all of Jake's bad press, he got a call from the show's executives saying that they were going to start weaning him off the show and eventually just took him off the show completely. Disney didn't need this kind of bad press from someone that the media was calling a YouTube brat. Jake didn't really seem to mind getting let go from his job since it allowed him to grow his YouTube presence even more, and I guess it kind of worked out if you call pestering Conor McGregor at every waking moment on the internet a success, that is. Don't really think so. At number 5, Armie Hammer. Do you guys remember the 2013 film The Lone Ranger? You probably don't. That's because it was a Disney flop, and it's actually one of its worst grossing films ever, as it barely made back enough money to cover their over $200 million movie budget. When the movie tanked, the blame was being shifted around, and some landed on the film's star, Armie Hammer. As the Lone Ranger himself, his performance was given the blame for how poorly the film had done. Since the movie tanked so badly, Disney never really took a chance on him again, but even if he was still in their good books, he certainly has been removed from them now. Armie has now been caught in a new scandal involving leaked DMs that paint him as something of a cannibal? The messages that have been leaked to the internet include him saying that he wants to take a bite out of his partner and wants to drink their blood. Reports came out recently that one of his ex-girlfriends said that Armie once carved an A into her flesh, adding to the disturbing reports surrounding Armie. Disney must have issued a ban for him now, just in case there was ever a possibility for a Lone Ranger sequel. At number 4, Zac Efron. I want to know just how many people watching this have seen the High School Musical movies. I lived off those. They were my entire childhood, and Zac Efron was very present in my life as his face decorated many a school bag or t-shirt. Zac was Disney's golden boy because of the success of the High School Musical movies and everything that came with it. They really milked every last drop of Disney magic out of that guy, and after the films wrapped, Zac just left the scene, and he was very outspoken about his time working for the mouse. We know that Disney doesn't like being badmouthed, and they especially don't like being made fun of in the media, but this is exactly what Zac did when he was a guest on SNL back in 2009. This took place just after the third High School Musical movie came out, and he did a skit on SNL where his character, Troy Bolton, returned to East High to talk to the newest graduating class and tell them that life is very different after high school and that his life is over because he decided to grow up. It was all fine until they brought in someone who played a thawed-out Walt Disney who warned Zach about Disney stars' futures. They joked about the fact that Disney stars always crash and burn after leaving Disney, and the company doesn't appreciate that, and so now they make a point of not working with Zach anymore. At number 3, Miley Cyrus. Much like High School Musical was my childhood, so was Hannah Montana. Watching Miley Stewart live a double life as a pop star was my jam, but it turns out that it was Miley Cyrus's nightmare. Over the years since leaving Disney, she's been very outspoken about her time on set, as well as being a child star on the Disney Channel and how it really hurt her. In interviews, she's told sources about scandals that she was a part of as a Disney star, like how she got in trouble for taking specific photos because they weren't deemed Disney safe, and how she felt pressured to work through even the toughest moments of her life. As we know, the mouse hates bad press, and so they pulled away from Miley, but when the 2013 Bangers era hit for Miley, they just banned her after that. The Bangers era saw hits like We Can't Stop, Wrecking Ball, and that cringy Dancing with Robin Thicke and that tongue thing that became popular for a short time. On top of that, Miley was caught drinking and doing drugs on stage and being very open about her substance use. Though that era has definitely ended, those things will stick with Miley and Disney will never forget it, hence her ban. At number 2, Stoney Westmoreland. In 2018, Salt Lake City police were conducting an investigation to uncover identities of known predators in the area, and through this investigation, they discovered that former Disney actor Stoney Westmoreland was guilty of luring underage people. The police were able to apprehend the actor by using a fake profile on a dating site, and he was arrested and charged with 6 felony counts. As a result of his arrest and his crimes, he was promptly fired from his role as a grandfather from the Disney Channel series Andy Mack. Disney has since banned him from not only working, but from being broadcast on TV. Reruns of the show, as well as episodes available to viewers on the Disney Plus streaming service, have removed episodes that include Stoney from the roster. Stoney will not be working ever again. At number 1, Shia LaBeouf. Some Disney stars are able to continue having a pretty decent career even after their time working for the company has ended. Even though they may not work for the mouse, sometimes these stars are able to hold their own for the most part. This was seemingly the idea for Shia LaBeouf, since he continued to hold his own in the industry after leaving his role on Even Stevens, but in recent years, his trouble with the law and substance abuse has called down the Disney ban hammer, and now he makes the list of those who are unwelcome at Disney. Shia has had multiple run-ins with police, being arrested multiple times over the years, and one of those times resulted in a racism scandal as he hurled racially charged remarks and disrespect towards a black police officer. He has also had scandals involving public intoxication and violence, and his most recent scandal involves his ex-girlfriend FKA Twigs and her lawsuit against him, where she alleges that he abused her during their time that they were together. With all of this bad press, Disney is no doubt wanting to scrub themselves clean of their affiliations with the actor because of his bad place in the media. Now I want you guys to let me know down in the comments, were you a Disney or Nickelodeon kid? There seems to be quite a debate between those who grew up on Fairly Odd Parents and those who grew up on Lizzie McGuire. Let me know which side you are on down in the comments.
Starting off at number 10, we have Adrien Brody. Adrien Brody is a well-respected dramatic actor, winning the Oscar in 2002 for the Best Actor in The Pianist, with him kissing presenter Halle Berry on stage. Then on the heels of his new fame, he was asked to host SNL in 2003. And when he was introducing the musical guest, Jamaican singer Sean Paul, he not only made everyone cringe with embarrassment, but he also broke one of the golden rules of live TV. For the introduction, Brody took it upon himself to grab a dreadlock wig and ramble in a problematic Jamaican accent for way too long before handing things off. And even though the Jamaican accent was offensive and he probably should have been banned for just that, the bit wasn't planned and he ended up wasting a lot of valuable airtime, which caused the ban. Brody spoke about the ban with the Huffington Post and said that he might be banned, but he never heard anything official about it. In at number 9, Sinead O'Connor. Sinead O'Connor was asked to perform on SNL in 1990, in the peak of her fame, but she ended up bailing when she realized comedian Andrew Dice Clay was going to be hosting. And although it put a wrinkle in things, they were still able to manage. O'Connor finally performed on SNL in October of 1992, but SNL was probably wishing that she didn't, because O'Connor ended the performance by holding up a picture of Pope John Paul II, ripping it up and stating, quote, "Fight the real enemy," obviously offending millions of people. The show quickly cut after they saw what happened, but the damage was already done and tons of angry calls came in. One audience member tried to assault O'Connor and had to be removed by security. Unsurprisingly, O'Connor never played SNL again. Wonder why? In at number 8, Kanye West. It's no shock that Kanye's banned. Honestly, I'm shocked he's not banned from everything at this point. Before the ban, West appeared on the show 7 times and always managed to bring an incredibly thought out performance to the show. West is even held in such high regards that SNL producers allowed him in a rare third performance segment in that particular episode. But they were shocked when instead of playing a song, he made an entire speech praising President Trump while wearing one of his mega hats. NBC cut the speech short for viewers, and the outburst was not received well by the live audience members. Not long after, West claimed on Twitter that SNL producer Lorne Michaels had asked him to return to quote, host before the year is out. But according to Radar Online, Kanye was actually banned instead, and the latter seems a lot more likely to me. In at number 7, David Bowie. In 1997, David Bowie was banned, and from what happened, he totally deserved it. Basically, he was asked to be the musical guest, and he was gonna act in a sketch too, but they made a sketch where Bowie would sing parodies of his own songs. Bowie told Post, quote, one of the things they came up with was a version of my song, Watch That Man, but instead in the chorus I would sing Try Our Flan. Apparently the writers and Bowie fought over the pronunciation of the word flan though. Flan? I could be messing it up right now. And literally during the broadcast, Bowie said he wasn't gonna do the skit anymore, and he wanted to change the song he was performing. Instead of performing, quote, Telling Lies as rehearsed, Bowie played his 1980 track Scary Monsters and Super Creeps. And the reason is really awful. Apparently Lorne Michaels told Bowie that the song reminded him of a very dark time in his life, and I guess the reason Bowie played it was out of spite. Apparently, as soon as the song was over, Bowie claimed he was escorted from the building and banned from SNL. However, in late 1999, he was back as a musical guest after apparently smoothing things over with Michaels, saying, quote, we're mates, he knows now that I was just trying to get a rise out of him. And at number 6, Martin Lawrence. Martin Lawrence's monologue on SNL was so bad that a section of it was actually removed from the live broadcast because the network wouldn't let it air. And if you're wondering what kind of stuff is so bad it won't get aired on television, well, his monologue was talking about genital hygiene of intimate areas, specifically of female intimate areas. And the whole thing was just really crass and explicit. When the episode aired later that night for West Coast viewers, NBC cut out the portion of the monologue and replaced it with text explaining the gist of Lawrence's commentary and how, quote, network policy prevents any rebroadcasting of that routine. The rest of the show went on as usual, but Lawrence was obviously banned from the show right after. Halfway number 5, Cypress Hill. The group Cypress Hill was known for a lot of things back in the day. One in particular was their love of smoking weed. And apparently even though they were told not to touch the substance the night they were on the show, they of course did. Member DJ Muggs said he, quote, felt like he needed to make a statement with his performance, and that came in the form of him smoking on live TV. And this was back in 1993 when TV was a whole lot different than it is now. Muggs asked Sen Dog to light the joint, but he refused, so Muggs just did it himself. The group claims that the SNL cast came up to them right after and told them how cool they thought the stunt was, but obviously this is live TV people, and the network was not happy, resulting in a lifelong ban from the show. And at number 4, The Replacements. The band The Replacements made fools out of themselves during their performance on SNL, and that was because the band was totally sloshed while performing. Apparently it was a pre-show ritual for them to drink before performing, but SNL has a dry set, so they don't allow alcohol beforehand. Apparently the band got around this by having their sound guy sneak in booze after a pre-show sound check, and by the time they went on, they were hammered. And it was very easy to tell from the footage of the performance. The lead singer wandered away from the mic, the bassist was stumbling, and the guitarist was late to start his solo. So the lead singer actually yelled kind of into the mic, "Come on, effer," to cue him, which was picked up by the mic. And just when it couldn't get any worse, one of the guys ripped their pants at the very end with their rear end out for the world to see. The guys even trashed their hotel room after, that was paid for by SNL. So, I mean, yeah, obviously they were banned after that. That's like 4 strikes against them. In at number 3, Frank Zappa. Frank Zappa was a special type of musician that often infused humor into his music, which made him a great fit for Saturday Night Live, where he was asked to host and be the musical guest in October of 1978. But his performance was so bad, SNL writer and performer Don Novello called it, quote, one of the worst ever. Apparently the final dress rehearsal before the show went so bad that Zappa tried to change his entire approach to the show, but he didn't tell anyone else. And apparently his strategy was to somewhat make fun of the show itself and made the audience aware when things were scripted, with someone from the cast saying, quote, he read the cue cards like he was reading the cards, like he made a point of it. That was his approach to the humor. No one else in the sketches knew it. SNL producer Lorne Michaels did not like the unapproved take on their material and never let him come back. And at number 2, Elvis Costello. Elvis Costello broke one of the major rules of SNL, and that is going against Lorne Michaels. And he paid the price by getting banned. A December 1977 episode featured Elvis Costello as the musical guest, and he played Watching the Detectives in his first slot. Then in his second slot, he started playing Less Than Zero, but then decided to change his mind midway through the song. He told the band to stop playing and told the audience, quote, "I'm sorry ladies and gentlemen, there's no reason to do this song here." He then decided to play Radio Radio, which is one song he was told not to play because of how critical of mass media the song is. And because he stopped the show and changed the song, he was banned. However, it wasn't lifelong, and Michaels let him back in 1989. And even joked about getting banned on SNL's 25th anniversary show, so it seems like it all ended well. And finally, number 1, Andy Kaufman. This is a crazy one because Andy got himself banned. So the situation here was that he was put on the show back in 1975 and he managed to gain an audience off of the show. So SNL had him back many times over the years, with him appearing 10 times in the late 70s and early 80s. But one of his bits went south when it had lifelong consequences. Basically, in one skit, he told an SNL producer to read a statement on air in 1982 explaining that Kaufman's scheduled appearance had been cancelled because, quote, "Andy Kaufman is not funny anymore." Then the viewers were told to decide Andy's fate, with them able to vote on if he would be banned from the show or not. And sadly for Andy, they voted to ban him for life. The self-imposed ban was never lifted, and he never performed again until he passed away in 1984.
Starting us off at number 10, Piers Morgan. Piers isn't on good terms with a lot of celebrities, let's be real. So to see Piers Morgan and Ellen DeGeneres don't see eye to eye isn't really all that shocking. Piers has been quite critical of Ellen over the years because of her humor. Back in 2017, when Ellen wished Katy Perry a happy birthday by posting a picture of herself looking at Katy's cleavage, Piers was quick to interject. Chiming in that this post would not have been okay if a man posted it, he slammed Ellen for her inappropriateness. And again later, when Ellen showed a shirtless picture of Chris Hemsworth at her People's Choice Award speech, he came at Ellen again saying that he was disgusted. Didn't really understand having a shirtless picture of that guy. I don't know. I guess it made sense. I don't know. Needless to say, after all the hate Piers has thrown her way, I don't think he's gonna be making an appearance on her show anytime soon. At number 9, Sherri Shepherd. At the beginning of the Ellen DeGeneres show's run on TV, Sherri Shepherd was a frequent guest. She and Ellen got along quite well, and even when Sherri got her spot on the talk show The View, Ellen was there to congratulate her. But it wasn't until Sherri started to speak out about her views on marriage equality that she began to get the cold shoulder from Ellen. It was around this point in time that Ellen stopped booking Sherri on her show. Going from being a regular on Ellen to being shunned was a little alarming for her. Ellen said that she can be friends with people who don't share the same views as her, like after she was caught cozying up to George Bush, but she also refuses to give them a platform. Double standards? You be the judge. Coming in at number 8, Susan Sarandon. Speaking of Ellen's friendship controversy, Susan Sarandon is another celeb who isn't in Ellen's good books. Sue called Ellen out on her BS after being caught up with former US President George W. Bush, saying that she was being a hypocrite. Ellen is known to ban or unfriend anyone who opposes her views on marriage equality and other LGBT+ issues. But need I remind you that Mr. Bush over there wasn't exactly a big gay rights supporter. But here's Ellen over here defending her friendship with him for the exact reason that she's banned other people from her show. This backlash from Susan landed her in the Not Ellen's Friend Club, so I don't think we're gonna be seeing any appearances from her on the show. In at 7, Kim Burrell. The next contestant on Who's Been Banned is gospel singer Kim Burrell. In 2016, Kim was scheduled to make an appearance on The Ellen Show to promote her new song featured in the film Hidden Figures. All was well in Ellentown until whoopsie, Kim made some comments on her views on the LGBT+ community, and Ellen quickly banned Kim from the show. Later on her show, Ellen said that she didn't actually know Kim, but that she did see some comments she made on her Facebook Live that offended her. Ellen felt like for that reason, she wouldn't give Kim a platform and she kept her off the show permanently. Coming into number 6, Jameela Jamil. Jameela is one of the many celebrities who bashed Ellen for being seen hanging out with George Bush. Yes, we're back to this again. But her situation was a little more complicated than others. At first, when news broke of the two chilling out of the Cowboys game, Jameela was one of the few people who actually came to Ellen's defense by saying that Ellen's controversial friendship with Bush was an important argument to discuss. Not too long after that, though, Jameela went back on her comment and changed her position from being all for Ellen and Bush, or as I like to call them, Bellin, and instead she started harping on her for being associated with him. Her argument against their friendship wasn't for his views on the LGBT+ community, but for his involvement in the Iraq War. After her flip-flop of support, let's just say that Ellen isn't seeing much friendship with Jamila in the future. Halfway through at number 5, Vince Vaughn. Comedian Vince Vaughn was once on Ellen's list of no-nos when it came to booking spots on her show. After making a comment during his comedy show back in 2011 where he used the word gay as a sort of slur, Ellen decided to ban him from appearing on the show. It was the decision from her and Anderson Cooper, of all people, that prompted the ban. When Anderson appeared on the Ellen show shortly after Vince's remark came forward, he expressed how he was shocked about what Vince said. There's a silver lining to the story, however, since Vince has redeemed himself, at least to Ellen anyway, and he's since made amends with her. At number 4, Mark Ruffalo. Who else hasn't criticized Ellen? Oh yeah, none other than Avengers star Mark Ruffalo. Once again, we have another celeb who was unhappy with Ellen. I have to say though, when researching this list, I found out there are a lot more celebrities who hate Ellen than those that she hates. Surprising? I don't know. There are only a few, and well, they're on this list, but really, she doesn't have much animosity to all that many people, except for her employees. That being said though, Ellen probably isn't the biggest fan of Mark Ruffalo right now after he bashed the talk show host for, you guessed it, being friends with George Bush. He basically said the same thing as many other celebrities on the matter, that her friendship with George doesn't align with her views and how she preaches equality for all, when Bush did not do any of that during his presidency. We're really seeing a theme of people getting shunned after bashing Ellen, but this isn't surprising in the least. In at number 3, Caitlyn Jenner. After her tell-all memoir, The Secrets of My Life, was revealed, Caitlyn Jenner got the unfortunate news that she was banned from The Ellen Show. In 2017, Ellen was accused of alienating Caitlyn from the LGBT+ community after appearing on her show 2 years prior, saying that she hadn't yet accepted gay marriage. You know Ellen is firm on her stance on the same-sex marriage, so for Caitlyn to share her thoughts on the matter and for their views not to line up, obviously Ellen being the low-key petty woman she is, it's expected to see something come out of that. It seems like in this case, Caitlyn experienced a sort of ridicule from the community that she's now a part of. Basically, Caitlyn hasn't been welcome on the show since she called out Ellen in her book, and I don't think that's going to change. Nearing the end at number 2, Elton John. Back in the late 90s when Ellen came out to the world, many people were divided on whether or not they would support her. Surprisingly enough, one of the people who didn't come to her side was singer Elton John. After her coming out, Elton actually told Ellen to stop talking and be funny. Ouch. Well, Ellen was pretty hurt both by Elton's words and that he simply didn't come to support her, given his past and being a member of the LGBT+ community. It seems it took Ellen a while to forgive Elton for this, and that's why he's on this list. She's never explicitly banned him from the show, but I think we have to assume that he wasn't welcome for a long time after their falling out. Finally, capping things off at number 1, Kathy Griffin. Apparently it started when Ellen gave a pretty lengthy monologue about how mean Kathy was. When Kathy heard what Ellen said, she really wasn't impressed. She highlighted that they were both female comics and that they shouldn't be tearing one another down. Kathy was later banned from the show, and Ellen kind of just brushed it off by saying something like, well, I didn't know she wanted to be on the show so bad. No. Like, come on Ellen, really? Ellen supposedly made a huge spectacle of how Kathy was banned. Kathy was pretty upset by this because she didn't really understand what she did to deserve such hostility from Ellen. I mean, it kind of looked like she was banned for no reason. Over the years, they've had back and forth banter, but it wasn't very nice. They kind of just continued their hostility for one another, and that's about it. Kathy has never been welcome on the show, and I don't think she ever will be. Now let's get into reading some of your comments. Steffi Lovely says, Disney's kind of toxic for a lot of celebrities, but it's like also one of the most popular and powerful franchises. I 100% agree, but I think that's why they're so toxic, because they just have to drill into their celebrities like, be good or you're fired. Like as Spivvy says, Cheetah Girls was my whole childhood. Honestly, same. Like me and my friends would watch all of the movies, we knew all the words to every song. I couldn't tell you what they are now, but like back then it was my jam. Okay guys, that's all I've got for you guys today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, and also subscribe to the channel for more content. Stay groovy, friends.
47 past and current employees have complained to BuzzFeed News. Allegations ranging from a toxic work environment, bullying, now even sexual harassment. So Warner Media is investigating that, and that investigation will likely lead to people losing their jobs.
Just a little reminder to get quite critical of slammed out the beginning of the Ellen DeGeneres show's Ellen's friendship. Ellen is known to ban or unfriend anyone who opposes her views on on who's been banned is a gospel singer. I'm gonna try that again. her new song featured in the film Hood. In 2016, Kim was to promote her new song. He basically said the same thing as many other After her I almost said menu. She's not a chef. It seems that in this case, from the community, basically, Caitlyn this happens every time with Ellen. Stop it, Ellen.